Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wadau and wadauettes, how will it be? Kama K, kama kawa, this is John Duty on Life Maju. Life Maju coming to you live. Buddha, there are a few things that you might watch on the Mbulu, on the TV, on the movies, and there are things that you will hear in real life and you'll be flabbergasted, G. On today's episode of Life Maju, we are going to discuss a Nigerian 55 years old man in Maryland, United States, who has recently been imprisoned for fake nursing diplomas or degrees. Now let's talk about the fake nurse pipeline. And who is Patrick Nwaokwu? See, Nigerians all over the world have made headlines. All over the world, Nigerians have made headlines to be the masters of tricksters, the masters of knowing how to look for money. In fact, I talked to this South African babe a few months ago, and she told me live on my face because he had never met any Kenyan. I was the first ever Kenyan this South African babe had met. And you know, South African babes are fire, you guy. So she told me on my face, she said, you know what? Since I came to the United States, I've only dated Nigerians because Nigerians know how to hustle. Nigerians know how to look for moolah. And I was flabbergasted. And I was like, you know what, my baby girl, as we speak, tell me what those Nigerians you've dated before, the milestones they have achieved that I have not achieved. But after I read this story, now I realized why this South African babe was leaning into Nigerians more than Kenyans. And Kenyans, this is not an incentive, this is not a motivation for you to start looking for other ways to look for money. But you know what? YOLO, you only live once. So, what's this story about? And you know, if you've ever been into a Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C. hospital, actually, any hospital in the United States, it's very possible that you were treated, you were seen, you were given medication, you were actually served by a nurse who did not step a foot in class even for one day. It's highly, highly possible. So the story surrounds a 55-year-old Nigerian man who decided, you know what? Instead of people going to school for maybe 1.5 years for LPN or 1 year accelerated learning for LPN or 2 years or 2.5 years for RN, that is on community colleges, or 4 year degrees to get your registered nurse degree. This man said, you know what? Save all that money, come pay me, and then I will hook you up with an institution that will give you the credential. That credential or a diploma or a degree will allow you to apply for NCLEX. And once you apply for NCLEX and pass, you know what? You are on your way to becoming a registered nurse, or a what? A licensed practical or practitioner nurse, LPN. And this was happening inside the United States. Imagine going to the hospital and the nurse taking care of you never went to school, even for one day, not one class, not one clinical. And if you've ever heard of clinicals are tough, bana. Kama umewaisikia clinicals, the nursing, people cry and sweat. This person who's treating you in that hospital has never done any of that. And this isn't a movie, bro. This is real life. And it happened recently in the United States. This exactly is what happened in one of the biggest nursing diploma fraud schemes in the US history. Wanasema this is one of the biggest fraud schemes in the US history. At the center of it was a man named Patrick Nwaokwu. Aye. Anaitwa Nwaokwu. Today, we are breaking down how the scheme worked, how thousands of people got fake RN and LPN diplomas, and how it all came down crashing. And you see, sometimes, ukipata nafasi ya kuiba, iba pole pole. When you get a chance to milk some illegal money, don't be greedy. Greedy People who are greedy are the ones who get caught. Being selfish and a lot of greediness very, very fast leads to your downfall. And if this man had played his cards right, probably he would never have been caught. And up to this date, we would be treated and be seen by nurses and LPNs who never set their foot in class. Patrick Nwaokwu is a 55-year-old male from Laurel, Maryland. As we speak, Laurel is 20 minutes away from where I am sitting right now. Ndio ujue shit is real. He's not a nurse. He's not an educator. He's not a businessman. But he found a way to turn desperation into profits. Let me tell you why this guy had a ready market for his business venture. For many immigrants, not just Kenyans, for any African who moves to the United States, the first thing they will tell you is that, you know what, get into healthcare. There's a lot of money to be made in healthcare. All the Africans will tell you that. But getting into healthcare is not as easy as many people think. First of all, let's talk about the tuition. Let's talk about the academics. Let's talk about the cost of entry. You have to be able to come up with the money to pay for the tuition. Alternatively, you have to be either a green card holder or a US citizen to access federal funding in terms of loans. And even when you are a green card holder or a citizen, hizo loans kuzipata si rahisi, and no one wants to be stuck in loans. So this guy thought, you know what if I save you the trouble of going to class? Annually, most colleges charge between 10, the cheapest ones, between 10 to 15,000 a year, dollars a year. And this guy probably will tell you, give me 10,000 and I'll give you the diploma or the degree. Who wouldn't refuse, bro? So that's what happened. He targeted people who are hungry to get into the healthcare business. Akawashoniaje, there's no point of you guys going to class. Just give me the money and I will sort you out. Ni kama zile tu makaratasi za River Road. Unasikia mtu ameenda UON, mtu ameenda sijui kampo gani, na pepa imeundwa pale River Road. Alafu mtu anatafuta kazi na hiyo fake degree ama fake diploma, ama anatafuta a higher credential using that fake diploma. That is what happened. But because in the US, fraud kama hii is very rare, it took them a while for them to catch up. You see, in Nairobi or in Kenya or in Africa, it's very easy to catch up because the government already knows hizi vitu zinafanyika. But in the US, this was flabbergasting, bro. This was new. They've never seen anything like this. Like in the United States, someone can actually look for a job with a fake credential and sit for a national exam, the NCLEX, with a fake credential. That was flabbergasting, not just for the government, but for the people in the work spaces that they shared with these fake nurses and fake LPNs. Federal prosecutors say that this man helped run a pipeline that sold fake nursing diplomas and transcripts to people across the country. So this is not a DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia issue in the United States. This is a national issue. If you are in Minnesota, you are in Washington, you are in California, you could access this man. And this man, you could pay this man some money and he would liaise with a few nursing schools, some operational, some not operational, and you would get your credential. Now, and I know you're wondering, which nursing school or which school would risk its license to operate just so that they can partner with this man? Let's narrow this down briefly. How did this scheme work? This wasn't a small operation. Ati pale chini ya maji, no. This was a multi-state network involving a Virginia nursing school that already had lost its license. For instance, I just looked up the other day, me kaleka private school that I went to in high school. In high school, I went to 3 different schools. I started at Jomo Kenyatta High School in Nakuru, and then I left Jomo. I went to another high school in Makueni. I left Makueni, and then I went back to Nakuru. So when I went back to Nakuru, I went to a private school. I think we were at least 200 students from Form 1 to Form 4. I looked up to the school recently na nikapata shule ilifungwa bana. First of all, before ifungwe, it was converted to be sijui a conferencing facility sijui nini nini. Sahii shule imefungwa kabisa bana. Shule imefungwa kabisa na niko na certificate ya form 4 inasema nilienda hiyo shule. Now this guy targeted a Virginia nursing school that had already lost its license. I think either the school had been caught in some malpractice or something happened and the government took away its license. And there was another school in Florida, Palm Beach School of Nursing. It's in Florida. That one also, I'm not sure if it's still operational, but that one also was in the mix of these months. Let me look up if that Palm Beach School of Nursing. Yeah, hata hiyo ilifungwa bro. Is now a defunct institution previously located in West Palm Beach, Florida. It was permanently shut down following a federal investigation into a massive fake diploma and transcript scheme. Hata hiyo ilifungwa. So this is how this guy was doing his thing. He was targeting institutions that have already been closed and then using those institutions to come up with fake diplomas. Now, I think you might ask, if the institution was closed, how was this guy coming up with these certifications or degrees and convince everyone else, you know what, hii kitu ni real? He was also working with recruiters. So hii kitu si peke yake ati anienda hapo anatafuta sijui Dondori Primary School or Dondori High School, and then he gives you a credential from Dondori or Kinangop High School, and then he leaves you, to just go out there and risk the business. No, because if you are caught, that means his business has been caught as well. So he was also working with recruiters. For those people who might not be familiar with the employment sector in the United States, recruiters are like the gatekeepers of almost all the jobs. Unlike most companies in Africa, where you just apply for a job and it's just the HR, you deal directly with the HR anakupea job ama hakupea, story inaisha. Most companies here in the US hire recruiters who do not even who work for the companies as contractors. They are not part of the primary company. They're just there to be the bridge between you, the candidate, and the company. Now, once the recruiter clears you, the next step for you would be to go to the HR now. The HR duty is not to hire or fire. Okay, the HR duty is to fire you, but not to hire you. You're hired by the recruiter. So the HR job is just to accommodate your paperwork, banking information, credentials, and all that. So if you are able to pass the recruiter, you can most certainly get the job. So this guy was also partnering with recruiters across the state. He was also working with document forgers and buyers willing to pay big money. Bro, this was a multi-state network. This guy was not working alone. So how does it work? Buyers would pay an estimate of between $6,000 and $17,000, depending on if you want to become an RN or you want to become an LPN. So I'm assuming on the lowest end, between 6 and 10, that would be for the LPN, because at least the minimum it would cost you to become an LPN is an estimate of $10,000. For 17,000 for an RN, that was a big booster. That was a big discount, because I know for an RN, even when you're going to a community college, which is usually 2 years, for an RN, maybe minimum 30K, assuming it's around 15K plus clinicals. So 15K a year, 15K, maybe 30. So for 17,000, that deal was too good to be true. That is what the Godfather says, you give them an offer they cannot refuse. So they received the fake transcripts, fake diplomas, and backdated graduation records. Remember, we said this guy was targeting 2 schools, one in Virginia, another one in Florida. Both the institutions had already been closed because of other fake credentials scandal. So the federal government had already shut them down, but this guy would backdate. So if it was shut down in 2020, he would say, you know what, your credential, we will say that you graduated in 2018. So when the system or the recruiters search or whoever is doing their background check, they will look and see, oh, in 2018, this guy was still in that school before it was shut down. So the catch is there's no one to verify. You can't just call the school and say, you know what, I want to find out if ABCD was there. No, no, the school is already gone. And then they were coached on how to apply the NCLEX. So they're not just taking your money and leaving you. No, bro. Huyu jamaa alikuwa amechora. This Nigerian was running a multi-state agency operation, man. Some were told even to leave graduation. Some were told to leave graduation dates blank so that scammers could fill them later. And to your surprise, many passed the NCLEX and became licensed nurses because all you have to do, as long as you can read, you just or two, not do anything every night, just study for the NCLEX, you'll pass. It doesn't matter if you went to school or not. And most of them became licensed nurses. So this is actually the tip of the iceberg. Even after this guy was arrested and people found out what he was doing, they did not go and search for all those people who got their licenses through his operation. No, those people are still operational in American hospitals. So as we speak right now, you might be on your deathbed and the person who's treating you has never been in school even one day. But why did people actually buy these fake diplomas? Let's be real. Nursing school is not a joke. It's expensive and it takes years. And even if you have the money, even if you have the luxury of time, nursing school is brutal. It's mean and it's hard. It's supposed to humble you. Because we are talking about life and death. Any decision you make can actually impact the livelihood or the life of the person that you're serving and their family members as well. So most people actually fail. Most people do not make it past their first year in nursing school. So people were desperate. They wanted to avoid nursing school at all cost. Others were just misled. And as we said initially, especially his target audience, most 99% of them were immigrants. Those who were told there's no other job for immigrants, everyone, you have to go into hospitality, you have to go into the hospital, you have to work in healthcare. So people were misled, but most of them knew exactly what they were doing. They wanted the shortcut. But the results were the same. Unqualified people ended up in real medical settings, treating real people, bro. Hey, that game is mbaya. This is what we call game for kimataifa, man. If you've never seen a smooth operator, this Nigerian is a smooth operator. And I'm sure you're wondering, huyu jamaa aliunda dongapi? How much did this guy actually make? Was it worth the risk? I'm going to tell you the numbers and you'll be flabbergasted. The FBI and the federal prosecutors launched a massive investigation called Operation Nightingale, named after Florence Nightingale. The FBI and federal prosecutors launched a massive investigation called Operation Nightingale. How do you say this name? Night and then Ingale. Named after Florence Nightingale, the founder of modern nursing. They uncovered over 7,600 fake diplomas. Bro, as we speak, 7,600 people are practicing across the United States with fake diplomas. More than 2,400 of them have already active in American hospitals. A nationwide network of recruiters and sellers was also uncovered. Patrick Nwaokwu was one of the key players. He wasn't forging documents. He was selling access to the pipeline. But njia ya nyani, siku ya nyani kufa, miti yote huteleza. That's what they say. He was sentenced to 21 months in prison. 2 years of supervised release, and held responsible for over 1.5 million in losses. USD, bro. We're talking of millions. How much do you guys think this guy made? If 7,600 people actually bought these diplomas, and they were ranging between 6,000 and 17,000. Let's give the average diploma, say 12,000. So 12,000 times 7,600. How much is that? That is what the operation was. That is what the operation. Actually, that is not the true cost of the operation, because 7,600. Those are the people who actually paid and got licensed. We are not even counting people who paid and failed out, because paying for the license for the diploma does not mean that you will actually pass the NCLEX. NCLEX is, you cannot pay for the NCLEX. NCLEX is nationwide, and you sit on a computer, or you sit in a class, and the exam is monitored or proctored, so you cannot cheat on that. But the getting to sit for the NCLEX is the hardest part. Getting cleared to sit for the NCLEX is the hardest part. So we're not even counting the people who paid for the diplomas and they did not pass the NCLEX. While scammers made money, real nurses paid the price. People who spent years studying, doing clinicals, passing exams, suddenly found their profession under suspicion. State boards had to review thousands of licenses, bro. Hospitals had to re-verify credentials. Patients were left wondering, who could they trust? So this news has gone all over. And especially in Maryland, where there are lots of Nigerians, I'm sure the suspicion is very high. But the story is not about one man, it's about the system where people are desperate for opportunity. Schools are desperate for money, and scammers take advantage of both. It's also a warning. If something sounds too easy, too fast, or too cheap, it's probably illegal. But I'm sure we all know that. In healthcare, shortcuts, bros, now cost lives za maana. They cost real lives for real people. Now, according to the story, they are trying to allude that some people were misled. No, bro. We all know people knew what they were doing. If you are an immigrant, a student, or someone trying to build a career, protect yourself first. Yeah, do things the right way. Get that credential that is legit, and you will never have to look behind your shoulder. Don't let the desperation push you into a trap. I've been your host, John Duty. This is Life Maju, bringing you the truth, the breakdowns, and the stories that matter. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video so that people don't fall into scams led by one. I know that right now he has already been released. That was no, he's still 21 months is what? No, he's about to be released. But after he's been released, he'll still be under 2 years of supervised release. But anyway, he's not the only one. Make sure that you like and share this video so that more people don't fall into scams like this. But ultimately, we know anyone who paid for this, they knew what it was and they subscribed to it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Nigerians for you. Now, for that bebe, that msupa, South African msupa, who I was trying to talk to. And then she told me, actually, I've never talked to any Kenyan. You're the first Kenyan I've talked to. I was like, bullshit. Actually, I've only dated Nigerians. Nigerians know how to navigate, they know how to hustle. And I was like, show me what a Nigerian can do that I cannot do. But after I read a Nigerian pulling off a scheme that makes $1.5 million, bro, $1.5 million. That's a lot of money. I understand why this bebe was telling me he likes Nigerians because they are corrupt. Not all of them. Some of them, they've proven that they can manipulate the system. But it's your choice, bro. If you ever get a chance to advance your credentials, it's your choice to decide the highway or the right way. Until next time, I've been